Lifting Leaders podcast, where we're unleashing leader possibilities to make a better world. I'm Tricia Ryan, and together with Crystal Roberts, we're diving deeper into some of the complexities of the world's most critical challenges and exploring innovative ways of navigating through them.
Through interviews with experts and leaders just like you, we are exploring what it takes to thrive as a leader today and examining new ways of thinking about how to creatively lead into a more equitable, socially responsible, and sustainable future. And the future starts now. Hi, Tricia. How are you doing today?
You know, I'm not doing great today, but I don't think we say that very often.
We don't. Yeah.
Yeah. So how about yourself?
Yeah, I guess.
Why don't you start talking about?
Yeah, I'm struggling today too, and a big part of it is, I mean, there is so much stuff going on in the world, but today felt particularly poignant for me. My oldest daughter, I've talked about her before, a teacher, texted our family and said, please remember that today is the last day for SNAP benefits, and a lot of her kids will no longer have food.
And for people who don't know what SNAP benefits are, you want to give us an
idea? So it's what they used to call food stamps, and it's the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. And because of the government shutdown, and it's the end of the month, the benefits are running out because they can't actually, there's no money. And so this is one of those times that people need to step in. And I also wanted to let people know, like, who's on these benefits. There's 42 million Americans who rely on these benefits to get their basic food needs met. And I looked up some statistics. Nationally, 12.3% of people per month receive SNAP benefits in 2024. So I went to the USDA website to find out who exactly is getting this. And in fiscal year 2023, children accounted for about 39% of those receiving the assistance. Children younger than 5 made up about 11% of participants, while school-age children made up 28%.
Yeah.
Adults age 18 to 59 represent 42%. And I think for this one, I should know this, but I didn't know it. The share of the SNAP caseload age 60 and older, these are our grandparents, made up about 19%. Yeah. These are the people that are in most need in our community, and we really need to step up. And so some of the things that people can do, they recommend actually that you donate to your local food bank, donate money, because the food banks actually have
a discount on.
They get discounts on being able to buy. So there's more food for your money if you go through the food bank. They can get more food. And then reach out to your local schools and see if there's something that you can help them with. And they will probably have things that you could provide as well.
Well, and I'll throw my hat in here and just say that I think that while you're, talking to or reaching out to your schools and to any programs that are dealing with food for children in school or food for seniors who cannot get out, please call or contact your local politician, because I really believe that, we vote for people, and we don't vote for these kinds of things. And quite frankly, it's not just the local. I think get your senator on the line, get your congressperson on the line, and ask them, does it make sense to hold tight because of politics when it's beyond politics? It has to do with people not having something, and we're holding out for. It's just so stubborn. Everything seems so stubborn right now. I watched the news last night. I was about ready to flip. You know, I don't care what side of the spectrum you're on. I want answers, and so. Sorry, I get angry about this, and I could go into all the technical junk.
So we do have local elections coming up. Please vote.
Yay. Yes.
And then we will also post a link to, there's a really great article, actually, that our guest just gave us, and we will repost that. And it's put out by HopeLink, and they talk about what's going on with the food banks and how we can support them. So we're going to take a little shift And the whole thing that we're talking about, this special series that we're talking about, is about what brings us hope. But we want to be real. We don't want to be toxic positivity. We don't want to be standing there. We want to actually see what's in front of us. So let's talk a little bit about why we're in this series. It's because we know that where we put our attention matters. And when we shift our focus from what's broken to what's working, something powerful happens. We start to think bigger. We see new possibilities, and we need some new possibilities here. We get more creative and innovative, but that shift takes effort. It takes intention and attention, and it always starts with hope. Hope is the spark for creativity. It's the root of innovation. And right now, in a world that feels so divided, with progress on belonging and inclusion unraveling, science and healthcare under attack, and our planet crying out for healing. And now we have people who are starving right here in the United States and around the world. We don't want to forget about those people around the world. We need hope more than ever. So we went looking for it, and we found it. And we're really excited for our guest who is here with us. And we'll talk about her in just a minute. In this series, you'll hear from 5 incredible people, scientists, artists, and dreamers who refuse to give up. They're leaning in. They're finding new ways forward. Their stories lift us up, and we believe they'll do the same for you. We'll also share our GEMS episodes and Coaches Corners, where we'll dive deeper into what their journeys can teach us as leaders, how to inspire, energize, and bring hope and creativity to the challenges we face today and the ones still to come. And so we are here today with Jeni Craswell, Leadership Eastside President and CEO. Jeni has been with Leadership Eastside, which is a community leadership program. We're going to talk a lot about that. Since the beginning, and has served in many different roles over the years, including multiple years as our board chair. She is a graduate of Ellie's class of 2008 and the 2013 Executive Insights program. An enthusiastic student of all forms of leadership, Jeni has been working as a facilitator with Leadership Eastside since 2011. She was also co-chair of the committee that developed the first community-focused adaptive leadership curriculum, which has continued to be an important part of the development of leaders across the East Side. Welcome, Jeni, to Lifting Leaders Podcast.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm honored to be invited to be here. Appreciate it.
We thought it would be really important to talk about leadership in our community, and we think that hope is a verb. And so how do we take action? We were just talking about how we can help support in this critical need time by giving money to our local food bank. But there's so many ways that we can get involved and be a leader in our community, and that's where the real change happens. And so who better to have come and talk about this than Jeni? And we got to know each other actually at the very beginning, 20 years ago.
Oh my.
Can you believe it?
I know. 20 years ago when we were part of the group that started the newly formed Leadership Eastside, because as you'll probably tell us, it came from a couple of different groups that came together into this one really powerful development program for community leaders, people who want to get involved and make a difference in their community. And the other thing, which is so cool about this too, is I know lots of people who are leaders in business or where they work. And so it translates there as well. It's not just about, and that's an important piece to be a community leader, but also makes you a better leader in your business. And so you get more bang for your buck.
Yes, you do.
So I'm going to just jump in. Or Trisha, anything that you would want to say to get us going?
I'm just really excited that we have you here, Jeni. I was looking forward to meeting you anyway, but I think this program is amazing. I've heard only about it from Crystal and from my current supervisor, and so I really think it's something that I want to hear more about, especially these days. I really think there's a need for this. So thank you so much for being here with us.
Yeah, I'm pleased to be here.
So we always start with, tell us your story. And you can answer this any way you want.
That's not intimidating at all. Well, I appreciate that. And maybe I'll start with, I have this set of core tenets that I kind of live off of. And one of them is believing takes practice. And what I mean by that, it's actually a quote from a book, but what I mean by that is you have to create a vision of what's possible in your head, and then you have to believe it's possible, and you have to hold on to that, and that takes practice, and it takes a daily intention to be able to look beyond all of the obstacles that are going to get in your way and truly believe that it's possible to shift a community.
Yeah.
And that by bringing the right people together, by encouraging and really sharing that vision, a group of people can move mountains. And so that's really what drives me in a lot of ways. I have a very strong belief in what's possible, and the people in this community that will come together and just, we don't care if you tell us it's impossible, we're going to make it happen. And that drives me every day and keeps me upright when SNAP benefits go away and our children aren't getting free and reduced lunches at school. And so it's a time of action right now, but it's also a time to dig deep and remember what we're working toward.
Yeah.
My career started in the HR world. I did recruiting and onboarding and training, and I really had the opportunity to see how different companies worked, from large consulting firms to Google to independent small businesses. And during that time, I really enjoyed watching how people showed up, how people led, how the big L leaders led, and how they paid attention to the rest of the group versus just, I'm the smartest one in the room, I'm going to make decisions.
Yeah.
And that was a fascinating thing to me to study. I don't think I even knew I was studying it, but looking back, I realized how much I learned from that. During that time, I also sat on a number of boards. And one in particular where I was chair, the organization was going through some significant changes. It was a membership organization. And as chair, I was taking them through a process to make some decisions. And I realized I got a very angry email from one of the members saying, "You're not being a leader. You should step up. You should decide what we're going to do and tell everybody how we're going to move forward."
Yeah.
And I had to step back and take 24 hours to get the emotion out of it and the questioning, that self-doubt. But I realized some really key things. The first was, it wasn't about me.
Yeah.
It was really about the person who wrote the email and his fear and his concern, not knowing what was going on, being in that uncomfortable, unknown place. And the fact that I was able to step back and see that, I didn't have language for it at the time, but I knew I could see really clearly, this isn't about me. It may be a little bit about my role, but it's not about me. And it was about his desire to have somebody to tell him how to make it better.
Yeah.
And that was really a light bulb moment for me. And that was right about the time that Leadership Eastside was being launched. And I was invited by another member on the board to apply. And so I went ahead and applied. And going through Leadership Eastside gave me two things. One, it started to give me language and frameworks for some of the things I'd chosen to do intuitively, which gave me a place to say, oh, there's a reason this works. And now I can go do the data search and figure it out. But the other thing it did was help me to see that some of those things I do intuitively or naturally were actually gifts I bring to the table that others don't. So we went through a whole team process, and my team sat together and we all shared, like, this is what I see you do that I so appreciate. And somebody said, you are a connector. You connect people. You see where people need to get together because they're, even if they're not doing the same thing, they have a similar vision. And you see where bringing them together can increase the power of what they're doing. And I thought, doesn't everybody do that? I never thought it was something that I did that was different. It was just a natural thing. And so understanding yourself and what you bring to the table, that's really life transformative in terms of how you want to show up on a daily basis. So that really informed who I wanted to become. And I always said I wanted to go to grad school as soon as I could figure out what I wanted to get a degree in, because I had an English degree and a math degree, and those were great, but
Wow.
it didn't really provide a lot of clarity on who I wanted to be when I grew up.
Yeah.
So I went right back to grad school, and I went to Seattle University. I went to the OSR, Organization Systems Renewal Program. And I know that there are a lot of OSR alumni out there. Hello, friends. I got my master's in leadership and community engagement. And during that time, I felt like I always knew that there was a path that I was on, but I didn't know where it was going. And I felt like this program helped me lift the fog and get really intentional about what difference I wanted to make in the world. And it really had to do with how do you bring people together to make important things happen? And what's the role of leadership in that work? So that naturally led me to just want to do more work with Leadership Eastside, because that was an organization that was already bringing leaders together from all sectors. And that was really important.
Yeah.
On the work side, after grad school, I was able to work with Imagine Housing. I was able to work at HopeLink, working on the fundraising and the marketing and communications. But I also got to do some of the advocacy work and help build the equity program that they were doing. And I felt like those pieces all had to go together to really look at the whole system of our community and how do you support all of the elements of our community, because you can't solve hunger
Yeah.
if you're not looking at what are all the different sectors doing?
Yeah.
How are we going to advocate with our local politicians, with our state, with our federal politicians to implement change that needs to happen so everyone deserves to eat?
Yeah.
How are you going to work with the corporate companies who have catering and they have extra food? Well, why aren't you giving that food to the food banks? Oh, that's a great idea. So all of these, if you look at the whole system, you can start to see how everyone can come together. And that was really my introduction to how this cross-sector collaboration can really make a big impact. And then, so I was in the nonprofit world and doing some consulting, and then asked to step into the Leadership Eastside CEO role, and felt like this, in a lot of ways, was a culmination of all the things that have come together, and to be able to step in just after the pandemic when things were hard,
Yeah.
and move it into an organization that was really serving the community in a way it was meant to. And here I am.
Yeah, I love that. I learned actually a lot about you that I think I didn't know. And yeah, it makes my heart happy to hear you talk about how that, and it's all what we do in our coaching, right? It's the self-discovery, right, that happens first. And then how do I apply what I know to make things better around me? Yeah, I love that. And that now you're able to, in this role, pull all of that goodness that you've done before. It's like an avenue for you to actually give back. And you've been giving back all along, but to all these leaders, the ripples that come from that are just tremendous. So yeah, I'm really, really happy for you.
I'm a big believer in, in getting the education so that you have at least a foundation. But often I see some of the best leaders are intuitive leaders because they've learned through whatever the hard knocks were to get there. So I appreciate what you said. It was like you realized that your intuitive leadership was helping, but you needed more to probably have the confidence or whatever that other people would follow.
Right. Especially as an emerging leader.
Yeah.
I think knowing that what is intuitive, there's also some reasons that it works, but it also allows you to lean into that intuition as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So here in the Pacific Northwest, where innovation meets social responsibility, people deeply care about the well-being of our community. Where do you see hope emerging in Eastside communities today amid complex challenges like affordability, inequity, and rapid change?
Yeah, that's a good question. And honestly, a lot of my answers today are going to be it's about the people. But
Yes.
it really, with all of the challenges and the shifting landscape, what I'm seeing is people coming together, organizations coming together. There's a lot that we don't have control over, especially right now. Always true, but especially right now.
Yeah.
But what we can do is look at what can we do here locally. And there are so many organizations and individuals that are saying, we're not okay with children not eating.
Yeah.
So, what are we going to do to make it okay? We're going to bring people together. We're going to talk about, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. We're going to get together and we're going to make sure that these kids have what they need. And you see these popping up. Sometimes they're hard to see because nobody makes a big deal. You don't put on social media that, oh, look, I brought a bunch of people together and we all brought food to the school so kids could have lunch. But you do see the corporate saying, look, we just donated to the schools, which is great. It takes all of that. But it's really the people that are saying, if we come together, we can come up with some creative ideas that we hadn't thought of before.
Yeah.
And that's what every one of those little stories is what brings me hope.
This sounds a lot like when we've read about community with Peter Block. This is like
Yes.
playing it all out, right? It's
That was
great.
a huge book when I was in grad school. I really enjoyed that book.
Yeah. Yeah. So Leadership Eastside develops leaders who can work across business, nonprofit, civic, and public sectors. And your story was such a great example of that. So can you share a story of a leader, maybe someone from one of your cohorts, who discovered a bigger purpose and began influencing their organization in ways that improved the community?
Yeah, and it is. I would say it's even a set of leaders. Eastside Pathways is committed to ensuring that students succeed in school. And what started with a very small nonprofit with Bill Hennesgaard, and then Stephanie Charrington took over when Bill died, and now Kalika Curry has stepped into that program. And Kalika went through our program during the time that the current administration was elected the first time. And there was a lot of stress and concern in the community about what the impacts of that would be. And that really formed how that cohort did and didn't come together, because there was a lot of fear. There was a lot of, and nobody knew how to facilitate that because it was a brand new situation. Everyone was stunned.
Yeah.
So it took us a while to figure out, how do we do this work together? When she was in the program, she learned adaptive leadership. And since then, she joined Eastside Pathways. And what she has done now is pull together a team that has really combined adaptive leadership and collective action. And they have school districts and nonprofits, they have educators, they have corporate, all coming together to say, all right, how are we going to make sure that no child falls behind? What are the different groups? I was just in a imagination session this week where people were sitting at tables saying, okay, what's my role? What my organization's role? We can do these 5 things for kids. And then somebody from, the school district foundation will say, well, we're doing these 5 things. And then somebody from corporate says, well, we can do these kinds of things. And the whole goal was to say, okay, we're going to come together. We're going to collect all of this and say, all of our partners are doing these things. And if you as a funder can support this work, you will help ensure that all of the children in the schools districts in our region have all of these things to support their mental, physical, social health and safety. And the impact of that work, people who work all day were meeting until 7 p.m. I was blown away by the energy and the trust. And I think one of the things that is so powerful is the way they bring all of these groups together on a regular basis to remind them, this is the important work we're doing. This is the incremental change we've already made, and this is what we're doing next. You need those touch points to remind people that the work is hard and it's working and we're in it for the long haul.
Yeah. It's the long-term solutions, right? Being able to look out. I love that Native American perspective of 7 generations. You know,
Yes.
it's so powerful to get us out of just the focus on today. Yeah.
Right. And we're not good at that.
No.
In the United States, we like things happening fast.
Yes.
And, adaptive leadership is slow and it's incremental. And that's hard.
We see a lot of people and a lot of leaders who are great at innovation on the front end. They
Yes.
come up with wonderful ideas and they'll launch them. But if there's any kind of maintenance beyond that, it becomes boring, or it doesn't. It's not exciting, or whatever the reason. And so we have a lot of. I think that's where there's a lot of opportunity for businesses to start taking a look at some of those things that were so amazing that they wanted to implement them, and yet they're not doing well right now, right? I think all of our questions are pretty much connected here. So
I just want to take one more thing that you were saying about this example, really pulling people together on a regular basis, also to celebrate the impact.
yes,
And to remind them, even though progress is slow, there is progress, and to take those moments to check in on that. It's a measurement in a way, and I think that's so important. That's that piece around, I think, maintaining hope is being able to actually pause, reflect, and say, well, what is working here, and what's the work ahead too. Yeah, love that.
And also just being in a room with others who get it.
Yes.
Everyone understands, wow, this is hard, and we're all exhausted.
yes,
And it's so important, we're going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
that's brilliant. So Eastside residents value both individual success and collective thriving. Sometimes those are kind of at odds with each other, or they feel that way. So how do your programs support business leaders who want to grow financially and become contributors to a more equitable and thriving Puget Sound region?
Yeah, and that's a tough one. And honestly, I really separate the grow financially from equitable and thriving. I mean, the truth is, when our entire region is thriving, we all do better.
Yeah.
And we know that to be true. The data shows that that's true. And yet we're raised in a culture that says we should all fight to be financially thriving as individuals.
Yes.
It's only American culture. Most other cultures don't think that way. They think about the entire community thriving. So we really focus on the equitable and thriving piece and not the financial piece, although we recognize that's certainly a key thing. And I can say a little bit about that more in a minute. Our focus is to build leadership capacity in our community so we can address the complex issues. As we address the complex issues, our community thrives. The hard part is for all of those leaders that are working on those complex issues to thrive themselves. And that's a key part of the work that Leadership Eastside does. And thriving doesn't mean, a massage is nice. Thriving is not getting massages.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's, that may be a piece of how you physically take care of your own body. You work out, you yoga, you do yoga, you meditate.
Yeah.
But what a big piece of thriving is, you have to be aligned with your values and core beliefs. And the work that you're doing has to align with that.
Yes.
So if you find yourself getting up every day and going to a job that is antithetical to who you are as a human being, that will wear you down faster than anything else.
Yeah.
And so we do a lot of work with our leaders talking about, how do you thrive? What are your core values, and how do they align with the work you're doing and how you're doing your work? Because if this work is way too hard to do if it's not absolutely critical to you as a human being to do the work.
That's right.
So how do we support you? How do we help you thrive? First of all, we give you the tools to say, what is thrival for me? And what are the different pieces of my life that have to align in order to do this work? And then we do the work of bringing people together, of reminding them that they're doing important work, of having them take a moment out to say, what success have I had, even if it's minute, over the last 2 months? And how can I build on that? That's critical work, and it really takes the ability to step back. We call it getting up on the balcony, getting
Yes.
off the dance floor where you're doing the work, getting up on the balcony, and seeing what has happened, what's worked, what hasn't, and instead of what hasn't being I failed, but what hasn't been great, that's a learning opportunity. What can I learn from it, and how do I want to move next? So that's a key part of the work. The concept of individuals thriving financially is one of our biggest adaptive challenges, because what we need to do is shift the hearts and minds of our community to believe that we all need to thrive financially. And to do that, we need to pay living wages.
Yes.
No matter if you're the big L leader at a corporation or you're the person that's mopping the floors, that person deserves to be paid a living wage just as much, and maybe more. So that's part of the work that we have to do.
You know, when you're talking about basically teaching leaders how to recognize what thriving could be for them, I when you were talking about this, I was thinking, what about all those leaders who want to try that, but they'll go the minimum route. They'll do just a little bit of thriving, and then they'll kind of get mired in the sacrifice of it all, you know. And I just wonder how do you address that? Because I think for some people that's just really unnatural for them to look inward for that kind of stuff. They may feel that it's selfish or whatever. You know, we do have a lot of people who are not self-aware and should be. And then there are a lot of people who aren't really self-aware but should be for a different reason, because they're not giving themselves that gift, if you will.
I was on a call with a leader the other day who said, I used to think that I couldn't step off of the dance floor because if I did, it separated me from the pain of the people doing the work.
Yes.
And that wasn't fair. And I think that one of the big learnings is that, my phrase is you have to put your oxygen mask on first.
Right.
You have to look at it for the long term. And if you don't take time to align yourself with your values and your work, to take care of yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally, then you won't be here for those people in a week, a year, 10 years.
Good point.
You have to look at the long term. None of this is going to change quickly. So I understand it's almost guilt laden. You know, I feel guilty taking care of myself because these people can't. And you have to step back and say, the most important thing you are doing is making change in this community. And to do that, you have to be here for that change to start to take place, to see what's working, to make shifts, and to continue the work. And it's a hard shift because some people have been brought up with that concept of your job is to feed the poor. We won't go into all the reasons that's problematic, but you have to look at it from a position of, if I'm truly committed to doing the work, I have to make sure that I'm able to do the work longer than a very short time. And when people don't, what happens? They end up in the hospital, they end up with chronic diseases, etc. And we see it happening.
So true.
Yeah. And it's part of that shared responsibility. Yeah. You know, that it isn't all on one person. By being in community with others, and that long term, like you were talking about, like can we vision what that will look like long term, and what's my role long term, and what are the I just have this really strong vision of you having benefited from the program, but then now leading it and all of the ripples that are coming out, like can come out from everyone, right? What are the ripples? How am I suiting other people up to be successful? How am I giving them agency to sort of solve the problems for themselves? And all of that's not all about that savior sort of mentality that I'm it. Yeah.
You can't do it for them. You have to do it with them.
Yeah.
It seems though, I don't know what you've experienced, maybe you can tell us, but there are so many, and I'm not trying to be the devil's advocate here, but I'm just thinking,
Yeah.
there are a lot of leaders who have never had to look at the long haul. You know, what is that thing at the end that we're working towards, right? You get it
Yeah.
on the front end, but once you get into it, you kind of lose sight of it, especially as those things from on the side come in and start, distracting you, and you start building a tree basically until you're started at the bottom of the trunk and you're not quite getting to the top. And so I'm just wondering, are you advocating what kind of recognition or some kind of milestone things that would help people stay on track to that thing at the end?
Yeah, and I mean, let's face it, we have created a culture that is based on quarterly results.
Right.
You're not succeeding if you're not showing that you've done these things. And it's very hard to be excited about incremental results when you're going to your boss to tell them what you did to make the company money. Yeah, I mean, we have history of Bill Gates walking in the door to people's office and saying, "What did you do for Microsoft today?" And if you're a lowly brand new programmer looking at the CEO of Microsoft coming in, that's overwhelming, and it teaches you a lesson. I have to do things every day that make a big difference.
Right.
I have to prove that I'm making money. We need to untangle that and look at what's the long vision and how are we moving toward that long vision. And we do a lot of journaling to remind people to stay focused on what's the long-term goal. How are you taking care of yourself to get to that long-term goal? And what kind of incremental milestones can you look at to help guide you and help you feel connected to, yes, I'm making progress.
Yeah. It's
But it's hard.
it's sort of paradoxical in the sense that it's the daily practices, right? It's the daily
Yes.
practices that sustain you for the long term.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So in achieving the long term, we have to look at the micro.
Yeah. It's a culture shift is what it is for me.
It's a culture shift, but we can't change the culture.
Right.
And so we're sort of circling back to like, I'm thinking of our guest, Matt Sturgio, who he was talking about the agrophoterics and how the panels create their own micro environment underneath the panel. I was thinking that's our job
true.
is
That's
to be
true.
the panel that's creating the micro environment underneath us.
That's a good analogy, actually.
Yeah, so that, and it's back to that community. Like, where can we have impact? We can have impact around our family dinner table, around our neighborhood, and around our community is our primary impact. Yeah.
And we can't change the culture, but we also are the culture.
Yes,
So
exactly.
one by one by one, it's like people will ask, how did you get so successful? Well, day by day by day, then all at once. It's the day-to-day work, and then all of a sudden somebody knows that, wow, this person's been doing this work. And little by little, the more people we have in the culture shifting, that's how the culture shifts.
Yes.
But it takes a long time.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
We could go on that one.
I know.
Okay, next question. When we feel discouraged by polarization or overwhelmed by issues like homelessness, food deserts, all these sort of climate impacts, social isolation, taking action can feel risky or futile. How does Leadership Eastside help leaders build the courage, skills, and coalitions needed to act? And what recent initiative or partnership gives you hope that progress is possible? So this gives you the opportunity to dive a little bit into the details. Like what are you guys actually doing?
Yeah, thanks. And I'm really excited you asked this question because we just launched a new 10-month program because our capacity to do 3 years went down to 2 years. And now we're at the point where people can do 1 year. So rather than trying to get people committed to a 3-year program, we're going to offer a variety of shorter programs to make it a little more accessible. But as we did this, of course, it was a perfect time to look at what's worked, what's not, and what else is out there. And in addition to the adaptive leadership, we have introduced the inner development goals. And the inner development goals are a series of 25 skills across 5 dimensions that will help a leader understand what they need to engage in significant change. And the thing that's most exciting about this is an international coalition, cross-sector, that came together to say, the United Nations has had the Sustainability Development Goals for years, and we've made very little progress on them. So, what's missing? What do individuals need in order to understand how to show up themselves? And so it starts with being. How are we even showing up? It goes into thinking and collaborating, and it's really a whole series of how do I want to show up as a leader? So you were talking about the self-discovery. I call this it's like emotional intelligence on steroids, because it really is the whole person about how do you show up, how do you engage with others, how do you move the needle. Nice. And the fact that it is created by academics, corporate leaders, nonprofit leaders, educators, and they're all coming together to say, how are we doing? We're all learning on this together. We're making micro adjustments and changes, and we're connecting to say, what's missing? How can we do better? How can we help spread this out? So we are now part of this global community that's helping leaders ground themselves in their self-work, in order then, once you've got that, then applying the adaptive leadership feels a little bit more possible.
Yeah.
So watching this worldwide coalition come together absolutely brings me hope.
I love that. Yeah.
Cool. So the phrase that anchors your vision, a thriving and equitable community where complex issues are addressed through collaboration and shared responsibility, could not be more relevant to the time than where we are right now, right? So what partnerships or cross-sectional collaborations have come out of LE programs recently that demonstrate the power of united leadership? And how do those collaborations strengthen hope that we can solve what feels kind of unsolvable right now?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think a big piece of our program that's felt most impactful for our students, especially recently, is that cross-collaboration work. And we've really done a lot recently to have people break into their sectors, a public sector, nonprofit sector, corporate sector, to say, what's going on in our sector? What are we seeing? What are the problems? What do we need? And then mixing them into cross-sector conversations about how do we support each other? And sometimes it's amazing where the corporate who thinks they've got it all figured out finds out that, if we partner with this nonprofit, not only can we support them, but they can actually support us in ways that we never thought possible. I used to remember when HopeLink was going through their $25 million capital campaign, the chair of our capital campaign worked at a company, and their company forever had, they had that HopeLink box in the middle of their lobby that employees could, fill or whatever, and it would just sit there, and he'd walk by it every single day. And every day it had, a can or two or whatever. And, thankfully he was in a position to gather the office and say, all right, we're either doing this or we're saying no. And everybody said, oh, no, we want to do this. The next day that box was full, and they had to call HopeLink and say, can you come empty it out and give us more? The interesting thing was the outcome of that work was the building of relationship and community within his company.
Yeah.
And his company, suddenly teams were working better together, and they were solving problems because they'd come together on something that seemed very disconnected from business, and built those relationships and showed each other how they could accomplish things together. And they liked each other and they liked getting stuff done. So suddenly they were getting stuff done at work. Now, you would never say, wow, I want to get my team together. How do we build a team? Oh, let's partner with a nonprofit to do that. Nobody does that. but you don't realize how these things can come together until you start having conversations about what's needed.
Yeah, that is so engaging. You think about employees who all they want to do is add value, right? And it doesn't, it's either what they're doing in their day-to-day job or what the organization collaborates with other organizations on that you can get involved in. I think that's just beautiful. I love that. I love the whole engagement piece of that, because I know there are a lot of people who just, they long for that, and that's leadership.
They do. Yeah. And we had a team that was working on childcare, and where things started to shift was when they were able to have conversations with corporate and say, childcare is your issue as much as anybody. This is not a mother issue. This is a corporate business issue.
Yeah.
How many of your employees are women? How many of your employees are women of an age where they have children? Childcare is now your issue, because if you want your employees to be happy, healthy, successful, and focused on work, you need to make sure that their kids are safe. And it was mind blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That took such a outward, of course this is a corporate issue. But until the corporations start seeing that, as long as they can say, oh no, that's a family issue, that's a mother issue, and it's antithetical to being a good employee. And as soon as they realize, oh no, it's not, then suddenly you have multiple people saying, of course childcare is huge. How do we solve this problem?
It's interesting, you think about when benefits packages are being built, they put all sorts of things in there to help people have children, and once they've had children, have time off to bond with them. So why not put something in place to help them when they need to come back to work, right?
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And these days, it's just as much of a father or partner issue
Yes, it
as
is.
well,
Well, of course it is.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we're finally at a place where people are going to acknowledge that.
Yeah. 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 And my kids don't have children yet, but just seeing their friends and how that generation thinks about it, they've just not completely lost the roles that the gender sort of roles, but it's so different for them.
Yeah.
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 They've rejected those roles.
Yeah. And it's
Love it.
whoever wants to do it and who has the time. And it's just a totally different negotiation. Yeah.
is.
I love that. I also was thinking about how that generation, it's not only a recruiting tool, they want to know that their companies care about things, care about them, but
Yes.
also, care about the world. And it's not only gets them in the door, but keeps them there. So it's a retention tool too. Yeah. So it's good for business and for so many ways. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. All right. We are, I know we could talk forever. We're having such a good time.
At least another 2 hours, right?
I know. But
Hang in there, listeners.
yes, but we're gonna go to our last question. I was just thinking it's part of thinking about what can I do today, what can I do for the long term, and being okay with not being able to sew everything up with a neat little bow. We don't have to have all the answers right here in the moment. We just have to have small movement towards good possibilities. So we're going to close with our question about what's next for you. And I know there's an exciting thing for Leadership Eastside that's coming right up. And what are you really excited about?
Yeah. The thing that is taking 98% of my 99% of my brain right now is we have our 20th anniversary celebration gala coming up.
Very
it's on November
exciting.
15th. I'm going to put the plug in, leadershipeastside.com. Come join us for the celebration. We will be celebrating 20 years of impact. We've got an entire wall talking about the story of Leadership Eastside and all the people who have been part of making it happen and also gone through the program. And I think the most important part is that we're going to have close to 300 people gathering in a room, and every one of those people is committed to making our community better.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And what better way to remind people of the hope, of the energy, of the passion than bringing them together with all of the other people. I had a friend say, we need to be with people who get it and are committed to the work to fill our cups, to feel like wow, we are making a difference. And to be able to look back 20 years really helps us highlight, wow, look at the changes that have happened. Okay, now we're ready. So we're going to celebrate. We're going to be giving some awards to some amazing leaders who've been doing this work. I'm really excited about that. And then it feels possible to go back to the office that next Monday and say, all right, let's go. Let's start on the next 20.
Awesome. That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah, I love that. Well, thank you so much for spending some time this morning with us, and I know our leaders, and our listeners greatly appreciate it as well. And I hope that they come away inspired. And we know that we have listeners, that are around the world, and there are other community leadership development programs. But if you don't have one in your area, think about creating a collaboration to have one, to bring leaders together to help make a better community. And I know that Jeni would be happy to talk to you.
Reach out.
Absolutely. I think that just to give your contact information would be wonderful. I think you may be hearing from a lot of people because this is a program that is just so amazing. And even if someone else or another community is looking to start something like that, that would be a great collaboration.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This was
Absolutely.
a lot of fun.
Yeah. So they can find you at leadershipeastside.com, I think, right?
leadershipeastside.com, and there's even a contact us link. So
Yay.
you can send me a note and I will get it.
Awesome.
There are
After
only two of us, so I see everything.
after November 15th.
After November, I won't
wait
look
till
you with it.
Yeah. All right. Thanks again. Good
Thanks
luck
so
with
much.
your celebration, and I'll be there. I'll see you there.
All right, can't wait.
Well, that was so delightful. And I thought, what a great reminder of this whole piece about intentionality.
Yes.
Brings us hope. Being with people, other people who are doing good work and to make a better world, it inspires me. And then that is what's bringing me energy to go out and do what we talked about at the beginning, which is we need to give to our food bank. We need to reach out and find out how can we help in our community during this really critical time. Mm-hmm. I wasn't feeling the energy to do any of that this morning when I opened. So I hope I kind of apologize a little bit to our listeners. I hope I didn't totally bum people out, but I do think we have to sort of be where we're at and the reality of it. And I'm hoping, since this drops on Monday, that we do have some better news.
Oh, I hope so too. I'm probably going to be, I have been staying away from the news for the most part. I only hit it like once a week right now because I still am getting triggered by a lot of stuff. So, but this weekend, I'm afraid I'm going to have to spend some time on it because I really want to know what's going on next. And I'm hoping that somebody's going to come charging in and change that decision, so that we don't have people who are going to suffer. We're Americans, right? And that is just amazingly weird to me that we're even facing this right now. So anyway, thank you. I apologize as well, but at the same time, I hope our listeners understand that, we are humans too, and we have the same kinds of angst about things that are sometimes way beyond our control. But I think everything like this is a little bit in our control. All we have to do is just reach out to some of these entities that are still supplying people with some food so that they're going to be okay, at least for a while.
Yeah. Well, and be open to opportunities to collaborate, as Jeni was talking about. It's like there are groups out there that are working to solve this right now. And then how can we support those people that are doing that? How can we be we don't have to be even at the table, but we need to support the people that are doing that work.
Yeah. It was so inspirational. I think listening to her talk, it's so important. And to find out that, she's right in the thick of the groups that are taking a look at this, and they're using things that we're hearing about, like building communities and like collaboration and stuff that we're hearing a lot more about lately. Since in the last year, let's say.
Yeah.
And I'm just so glad that they're doing that. We're not just sitting on an old foundation of behaviors, but we're employing things that people are living in right now or worried about right now. So it's great.
Yeah. So our challenge to you is to do something. Make hope a verb. Give hope to other people by taking some action. Do something today.
Please don't just try, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
to Carla's point,
Yeah.
please don't just try and not make it. Just take a small, brave move, right?
Yeah. Well, I love Jenny's story about the leader who was like, either we are doing this or we're
Yes.
saying no.
Yes.
And it was that statement that galvanized people to say, no, we do want to do this. And so we're going to do it. We're not going to try.
That example was in itself really educational. I think people who are listening, who sit on the fence because they're not quite sure, well, we're not getting anywhere with this, so what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Well, you don't just keep letting that barrel sit out in the middle of the lobby, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great metaphor, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's keep that conversation going and keep the conversation going in your neighborhood.
Yes.
Keep the conversation going around your dinner table, at your church, at your synagogue, wherever you are. Keep the conversation going. If you have questions for us or comments about the show, we would love to hear from you. You can find us on all our social media channels at lifting_leaders. We have so many exceptional podcast episodes coming up with more fantastic guests. So be sure to subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen. If you know someone who would find this episode inspiring or informative, share it with them. Text them, email them, or take a screenshot and share it on your Instagram and tag us at lifting_leaders. If you'd like to know more about us, our guests, or the show, please go to our website at liftingleaderspodcast.com. You'll find our show notes there as well. If you're looking for help in developing your leaders or would like a growth opportunity yourself through leader coaching, please contact us through our website at www.liftingleaderspodcast.com. Thank you to Ari Chance Roberts for his technical support of our show. Finally, please take 30 seconds and follow us. This is actually really important. It helps you because you never miss an episode, and it helps us because you never miss an episode. To follow us, go to the Lifting Leaders podcast show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Then just tap the plus sign in the upper right-hand corner or click on follow. While you're there, if you'd be willing to give us a 5-star rating and review and share the episode with a friend, we'd really be grateful for that. Thank you, Trisha, for being my co-pilot today.
Thank you for bringing Jenny to us. I think that was brilliant. And, I commend you, not just for that, but for having a hand in the creation of Leadership Eastside.
Yeah, way back 20 years ago.
Yeah, when you were just 10.
That's right. It was a middle school project. Many thanks to you, our listeners. We really appreciate you.
Yes.
Find ways every day to lift each other up. Have a fantastic week.
Take care.